This is the day for responsible local travel in the USA. This is our Friday Hangout, hosted by Deborah McLaren and myself. I'm Ron Motter, creator of Planeta.com, and we're changing this from a weekly to an irregular Friday Hangout series, but we are talking about responsible local travel in the USA. And Deborah has fled Minneapolis, St. Paul, and is somewhere near the Boundary Waters. So greetings to you. Can you introduce our guest?
No, Kara Polliner. And she's got her own business here in Ely, Minnesota. She does a sign business and photos, and she's an artist and a sculptor. And she has been involved with Incredible Ely, a program among the local chamber and businesses to really look at where Ely's at with tourism. And I met Tara last October as part of the Minnesota design team. We came to Ely, about 20 of us, and spent a few days here living with people in their homes and visiting businesses and hearing from all kinds of development groups and students and residents about their vision for Ely. And the Minnesota design team is basically architects, and so they take the information and concerns that the community has, and then they try to draw and sketch them out as architects and landscape architects and planners would. I was part of the sustainable tourism specialist on the team, and with all the architects. So it was fun for me to come up. This is a tourism town. Historically, it's been kind of divided between mining advocates and tourism, because tourism is so big up here. It's the Boundary Waters protected area near Canada. So kind of conflict going on here. And businesses here have decided we need to sort of look at our tourism and where are we going to take it from here. So I want to introduce Kara and ask her to just explain what she's been doing and what Incredible Ely is all about.
Hi, Incredible Ely began about a year and a half ago, and we started it by using the Main Street model that is pretty much used nationwide. That's what we're working towards, is to get a Main Street status. But we have a local chamber of commerce, but it definitely is more of our visitor center. They're not real big on the whole local businesses and doing a lot of supportive stuff for the business. They have been focused mostly on getting tourists up here, and they do a very good job at that part. So we're kind of like, well, we're missing this little link about the relationship with businesses. So Incredible Ely now has formed, and we are kind of calling ourselves the Ely Downtown Association. We do work with the chamber and with the city. It's kind of a tri-group there that we have correlated with to instill some different projects. Our first big thing, though, too, was bringing the design team here last fall, just to kind of give us a list of programs and projects looking into accomplishing. So since they were here, we've definitely got some things going for doing some bigger projects in Ely that will help us kind of give us we call it a shot in the arm to our downtown area, because we were lacking in so many businesses and having a lot of empty storefronts. So that has been going very well. We're getting more base following, and we've got just some different projects that are, maybe are a little more long-term projects going, but I think people are getting the word out that we're here and that we want to have a presence, we want to be seen.
Can you see the screen I have loaded? And can you see this map of
no, we can't. For some reason it says.
What does it say, Deb?
We cannot, Ron. There's an error. We cannot. It says that there's an error loading our app.
Oh,
and
okay.
It says, "Do I want to cancel it?" I'm a little bit afraid to cancel it.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Canceling you.
just to let you know, I was sharing the Google map of
Oh,
Ely
yeah.
and some of the downtown pictures. But if you can't, the audience saw that. What I would
Oh,
ask,
sure.
and I guess what I'd ask of you is, if you could just step back, 5 big steps. Where are you? How do you explain this to someone who doesn't really know Minnesota,
Oh,
or someone who does know Minnesota? Where are you?
our geographic. We are 2 hours Duluth, and we are about 15 miles from Canada, but you can't get there by road. But if you were, as a crow flies, 15 miles to Canada. But what separates us between Canada and here is the Boundary Waters Canoe Wilderness area, where no motors.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, well, I was really just trying to get point you on the map, and thank you for your description. What
Ron?
should? Go ahead.
This is the Great North Woods of Minnesota, and there are over 2 lakes in this area, the Boundary Waters area. In fact, I'm up here today to pick up my son, who's been out here for the past 9 days, canoeing and portaging and camping in this area. So there are moose, black bears, wolves, beavers. I've been up here dog sledding in the winter. It's just a fabulous, beautiful place. And right in the central heart of the United States, along the border of Canada. So just also called the Arrowhead region, which is part of Minnesota that runs along Lake Superior. So it's just a beautiful place. It's about 65 degrees and sunny out here today with a lot of pine forests around. And I can't wait to go out hiking later this afternoon.
Let me ask you, and
That's just a little flavor.
who comes to visit besides Deborah's family? Who are the visitors to Ely?
I would say, normally our population is about 3,500, but in the summer months, probably now and then through July and August, it's going to probably be about 10,000. There's a lot of summer residents, a lot of cabin owners up here, but then there's a lot of resorts that are full all season, and then the outfitters, which are then the people that outfit the people to go into the Boundary Waters. You go in there with your gear. It's a totally disconnected way to travel, and those are in the thousands of people that come up here to do the outfitting trips.
Beautiful.
A lot of people from Minneapolis and Chicago.
And another question, how is tourism different in 2015 than it was in 2005 or 1995? How has it changed in the past 20 years?
Oh, gosh, good question. The tourism really was going ever since probably in the 20s and 30s up here. And then with the resorts going full bore up in the Boundary Waters. And then the Boundary Waters canoe area was formed in the 1960s. And a lot of those resorts then were forced to close. But because of the other existing areas and resorts and lakes, then the tourism did continue. And then the influx of people that came in to travel into the Boundary Waters going strong. But the issue is that the person going into the Boundary Waters keeps going up. And so maybe that, we think something has to do with the fact that kids want to stay connected, the whole technology craze that's going on. When you go in the Boundary Waters, you don't have no modern services.
No cell phones, no texting.
No bathrooms, no running water, nothing. So
no gadgetry.
It's living off the land. And so we need to definitely get a younger generation to come up here to do these kind of adventures.
Oh, beautiful.
So I think a lot of people come back year after year after year, but they're just getting older.
I hear you. How are the adults and the people who are over 30? Is there a good presence on Facebook and Twitter about what's on offer?
Yeah, I think so. That's definitely, Facebook is getting to be rather used a lot up here because that is a way of communicating, to let people know of different events and functions going on. A lot of that happens on Facebook. I think there's definitely a wide range of ages up here. A lot of us call ourselves trans, which are people that are not born and raised here. And we're really kind of a melting pot. You know, it's not saturated with local people anymore. It's people that are wanting to live here are moving here. A lot of people running their businesses that are telecommuting. There's a lot of that going on up here. The average educational level of the people up here is very high compared to most other small towns.
Mm-hmm. And you folks call yourselves the transports?
Transplants.
Transplants. Transports.
Although I personally do have grandparents in the cemetery here, so I say I'm a local. But you know, some people don't have that, and you know, it gets a little harder to acclimate yourself.
I hear you, Deborah. I really interrupted you. What were you saying?
One thing I noticed when I was here in the fall and staying with people and meeting with locals, and so they want to move here, but they're jobs, and so a lot of people have to bring their jobs with them. And now that there is better Wi-Fi, at least in Ely, not in the Boundary Waters, but in Ely, people are able to kind of bring some of their own, as Kara was saying, their telecommuting kind of businesses with them. So there are people that are moving up here for that. And it is year-round tourism, but it really drops off in the winter. So they're really faced with quite a big number of people that come in the summer, and then people leave in the winter, and some businesses even just shut down for the winter.
You know, it sounds remarkably like Pärnu and the Suma National Park that Ivar works with in Estonia. And I'd have to ask this on behalf of Ivar, a good friend of ours in Northern Europe. For the canoe aficionados, are there people there who make their own canoes, or what do the canoe buffs love most about this area?
Yeah, there's definitely people that make their own canoes. They just started a folk here in Ely. Yeah. And there's going to be canoe making classes in there. There's, I'm going to forget his name. I think his name is, he was a famous, made wood canoes by hand. He was here. He passed away a few years ago, but there's a lot of, with the canoe making that goes on. But most of the people that come up here that are the canoe people that like that, it's the primitiveness. It's the living off the land. It's, being able to carry all your supplies on your back and see how far you can go in.
Oh, that's just wonderful.
There are some other amazing small businesses here, local businesses that are based on the kind of like the brand of Ely in some ways. Will Steger is a famous Antarctica explorer and has a wilderness center out of town here, but also makes mukluks, which are sort of like Finnish or Scandinavian.
It's like maybe Scandinavian, but a
boots.
Cowhide boot completely made for the colder temperatures. Those are manufactured here.
And the outdoor clothing company.
Oh, the wintergreen, which is here previously, bringing it back. That's going to be on Main Street again as well.
Let me ask you this. All right,
Those are our two names.
5 people besides places or businesses. Who are 5 people a visitor would love to have the opportunity to meet in your town?
Oh gosh. I would say, and also Jim Brandenburg. He's a famous photographer, wildlife photographer that works with National Geographic. He has a place just north of town here. I would say he would definitely be one. I would say everyone would want to meet Will Steger. Paul Shirkey, who does the wintergreen, and they have all the dog sled trips in the winter. One of our team leader, Andrew, stayed with them during the Minnesota design team. Oh gosh. Who'll be another person? We just lost our local historian who actually did the tour for the design team tour. We just lost, otherwise he would have been the local character.
He was a local character.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people like that up here that have, some of them have passed on, and they keep some of their memories alive. There was a woman that lived here in the Boundary Waters, Dorothy.
Oh yeah, Dorothy Moulter. There's a Dorothy Moulter Museum. She was the last living resident. She was allowed to stay living in there after it was created, strictly by petition that allowed her to live up there on the land, because that is where they ran a resort. She was the last living resident. She died in about 1986, died out there on her island. But she lived out there totally off the land, no running water, electricity. But now there's a museum in town that commemorates her.
And she was not only famous as being a Boundary Waters resident, but she was famous for her root beer. And she made root beer and gave it to everybody.
Yeah, all the tourists, all the people that would canoe out to her island, they would stop and visit her. And she was a nurse by trade. And so she was kind of like the resident doctor's office in the Boundary Waters. And then she would feed everybody root beer when they came by.
You know, Charles
Kuralt,
a lot of travel and traveling shows, loved Ely. This was his favorite place, and he called it the end of the road.
The end of the road, yep.
And there is also a famous little tiny radio station here that
yep, WEOI.
And I remember when I would first come up here, I haven't instead of the internet, people talked to each other on the radio. And I remember listening to polka and then a Bob Dylan song. And then somebody would say, "Hey, Joe, your wife wants you to bring 5 pounds of sugar back on the boat when you come back out here." And so it's I don't know if it's still a way to communicate that.
There's still emergency messages. They still will announce emergency messages on the radio to try to reach people in the Boundary Waters, because you can hear the radio in there, and that's how they'll contact people.
It's very eclectic, but so this is a place that's very well loved. The other side of the story here is mining, and unfortunately it's brought a lot of attention to the area because mining destroys the environment, and it also provides jobs. So there's been that kind of polarization going on here for forever.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, the Ely was founded on logging and mining. It was definitely, iron ore was mined out of here, and the last mine closed in the 70s. But now there's like huge deposits of copper and nickel here. And so now sulfide mining is becoming the next way tracked. So, yeah. But that one's done about a lot of controversy of what it does to the environment. So there's a lot of people here that are still here that had mining ancestors, and their parents worked in the mines, and they're waiting for those jobs. But then it might hurt our Boundary Waters, which we created as well. So it's a constant line of controversy right now.
As you can imagine.
I can imagine. Well, yeah, it's an oft-repeated story. I'd love to know more about mining and the logging industries, and any kind of in-depth links are most appreciated. We can edit what are called show notes, kind of references or citations, and we can look into this further. Again, it's terrific topics, but I want to ask you one last big question, and it's going to be light in comparison, so I want to get that awful segue out of the way. All right, Deborah is working with a site called Get Local Flavor. So where do you get local flavor in your town?
Oh gosh, like Get Local Flavor. We have like the typical tourist little traps into Ely. We have the museums and the historical aspects, but there's the local restaurants as well that are trying to push more locally grown foods. That gives people a lot of local flavor, literally. And just the amount of people that actually make things here. There's so much made in Ely, so you can come up here and get some items and stuff that you're only going to find here.
By the way,
There's the
sound in the
International
sound in
Wolf
the,
Center here.
the sound in the background, excuse me, that's your nail gun going off again?
Yes. Yes.
They're not shooting or hunting behind us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What is
We
that?
don't do that during the day.
She's remodeling. Yeah, she's remodeling a 100-year-old building here and be the new center of her business. But they are remodeling, and we're hiding out in the basement, trying to not have that in the background. But nobody's getting shot. But there's the Wolf Center, the Bear Center.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry, just to be specific. Where are you? What is this restaurant or what is this building?
Oh, it's the building. It was formerly Rogers Printing, which was here for 30 years. I purchased Rogers Printing last fall and now I've turned it into a conglomeration of graphic marketing and sign industry. So it's now Ely Design Works out in the basement. It's a 100-year-old building that we just work upstairs to recover. That has been here since the building was built. So we're right on downtown Ely and Chapman Street.
On Chapman Street. Beautiful. All right, again, Deborah, my apologies. Go ahead and tell us about bears.
Well, one of the things that the local flavor is that it is this very up north woods, outdoor, can-do kind of place and spirit, and the people, even the people that move here, the transplant, are like that too. People really love the area and they love being outdoors, and so you can come up here and you can learn about wolves. You can actually stay all night with the wolves and learn how to track wolves. There's a black bear center up here. There's the dog sledding and the snow shoeing in the winter, but in the summer there's this gorgeous fishing, canoeing. No, like Tara said, there's no motorized vehicles or anything like that. There's great restaurants. People are, like she said, they're trying to bring in more local food. It's really hard to grow local food up here in this area because it's so cold climate, but they're changing that. They're a new experiment this summer. They're just starting to sell their first stuff at the farmer's market, which is really exciting. So I just think there's a lot of local flavor. And then, there's something that I discovered in the fall when I was up here is that traditionally people here did a lot of work in their garages. And so when you drive around Ely, the little houses and stuff, a lot of them will have a chimney, a garage, and that's because that's where they worked in the winter. So, they're very industrious, very outdoorsy, strong people, strong-willed too, I guess.
We're definitely an artist community as well. I mean, a lot of people have settled here that are artists. I mean, it's amazing how much is getting created out in the woods that I myself aren't even aware of yet, but that's another effort of Incredible Ely, is to make it known. When you drive into town, you'll know that Ely is also an artist community.
A lot of artists. And also I should mention there's a museum at the college that has mining.
Yep, the Historical Museum of Ely.
That is there too. And Sigrid Olsen. There's
Sig Olsen's. Yep, he's people of the Boundary Waters. He's got his old listening point is where they call it, where he would go and do his writings and his research, and he's a big namesake up here too. So yeah, he might be well, he's not alive anymore, but to learn more about him would be another interesting visit.
And going back to Will Steger, he's created this wilderness center out here for and basically to host a lot of conversations and discussions among world leaders about climate change.
I have a technical question. Are many of these people on Twitter?
Are many of these
my guess is probably my business just got on Twitter like last week. That's probably a little bit farther behind for us up here. Like I said, Facebook is still huge up here. We're not that savvy. I mean, there's a few people, and you can probably find Ely references on there, but that's still up and coming.
And does Ely have Incredible Ely have a website?
Incredible Ely has its own website, incredibleely.org. And then, which way fair was this?
I guess I have another question too. What's next for Incredible Ely?
We are working on now. We have some fundraising projects that we're doing. We have these chairs. It's called the Cherish Ely program that are coming out now. We have artists paint 20 different Adirondack chairs that we put around town, and then they get auctioned off at the farmer's market in August to help raise money. The funding source last year to bring the design project is kicking off again. But from the design team suggestions, Incredible Ely is now working on getting new entrance signs for town. We now have a downtown office presence to help people with entrepreneurs and business counseling. We have a storefront task force that has really helped kind of make aware of our empty storefronts and make them look a little bit more improved. We had a guy came in last year that he heard of Incredible Ely and he realized that there was this movement happening, and he came in and bought 6 buildings downtown Ely, historic buildings, and is now renovating them and bringing them back to their original flavor and use. One being our movie theater that we have not had since I think 2008.
Oh, when does that reopen?
It's very cool.
When does that reopen?
That will reopen in fall of 16. They just got it registered onto the historical register. So then it will be refurbished back to its original form, which he's a big proponent of. Another building here, the Tanner Hospital, which is as well, and that he saved that one definitely from maybe being, and that one yet is still unsure of what his plan is, but there's definitely work going on. Another building here on Chapman Street they're working on, and he just bought the VFW building, which is another cornerstone building that is a landmark for Ely as well. So he's definitely inspiring some acts to happen here in town as well.
Oh, beautiful. We will keep track of that.
Revitalization of Main Street going on.
We're
gonna, through Incredible Ely, we're gonna, go ahead.
I'm sorry, we had this like 4-second delay, so there is some unintentional jumping on people's comments. Anything else to say, and then we'll wrap this up. I'm sorry for the technical glitch.
I was just going to say that our next thing too that Incredible Ely is doing, we're doing these little thing called progress post-its, where we're going to be putting these huge post-it notes onto all these buildings that things are happening in. Questions of so many people wondering, well, what are they doing there? What's going on there? Well, to help curve the rumor mill, give everybody the correct information, we're going to put these huge post-it notes on all the buildings that have had something happening.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's really great. Great idea to communicate.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, Ron, do you have anything else? We can sign off unless you have something extra, but I'm going to go enjoy Ely.
Please do. We're going to be back doing our Hangout on July 10th, Deborah and I, and want to thank our viewers, want to thank our guests. This was an informative discussion, and we will continue the conversation. And as I say, update the Ely section on Planeta and elsewhere on the web. We'll be big fans and supporters of this work. Congratulations to everyone.
Great, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
It's great to be up here.